They told us the Bible was sacred. They said it was truth. They told us to read it, to live by it, to pray as it taught us to pray. They said it was the Word of God. But they told us something else too, didn't they? They told us never to question it, that questioning the Bible is blasphemy, that thinking for ourselves is heresy. And yet, here you are, watching this. YouTube's algorithm didn't bring you here by accident. Maybe you've been chosen to think, chosen to question, chosen to see through the veil of the greatest lie ever told. Because I know what they don't want you to know. 2. What they'd never tell you about the Bible. They'd never tell you that in the very beginning, the Bible doesn't reveal a God named Yahweh. It reveals Elohim. But who or what is Elohim? They don't want you to know that Elohim is a plural term, a word that points towards something ancient, something forbidden, a name whispered in obscure texts, often ignored, Anunnaki. You might think this sounds absurd, but even Wikipedia, yes, Wikipedia, tries to bury this truth beneath carefully worded disclaimers. Disclaimers meant not to explain, but to warn. Why? Because the idea of you knowing the truth terrifies them. 3rd, so, who were the Anunnaki? Why has their story been hidden in plain sight? To uncover their mystery, we must dig deep, literally, beneath the sands of history, where the truth has been buried for millennia. It all began in the mid-19th century. Archaeologists exploring the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, stumbled upon treasures that would rewrite history. Among these discoveries was the library of Ashurbanipal, hidden within the ruins of Nineveh. Over 30,000 clay tablets lay buried there. Strange, wedge-shaped markings covered their surfaces. At first, no one understood what they were. Some thought they were decorations. Others assumed they were meaningless symbols from a forgotten people. But when scholars like Sir Henry Rawlinson began deciphering them, everything changed. These markings were cuneiform, the written language of ancient Sumer, Babylon, and Akkad. And suddenly, the silent ancient world began to speak. 4. What did these tablets say? Initially, they seemed mundane, lists of goods, business records, legal decrees. But buried deeper within the archives were stories. Stories of creation, stories of great floods, stories of rulers who reigned not for decades, but for millennia. And as these stories were translated, scholars noticed something astonishing. These weren't just any stories. They were echoes of tales found in the Bible. But there was a twist. These stories were older, much older. They predated the Bible by thousands of years, and they described something the Bible does not. The Bible speaks of one divine creator. These ancient texts tell of many beings, powerful entities who descended from the heavens to shape humanity. The Sumerians called them the Anunna. The Akkadians called them the Anunnaki. 5. Were they gods or something else? Who were the Anunnaki? Were they the gods of ancient mythology or something more tangible, more real? What did they do here on Earth? What was their purpose? For centuries, these questions have haunted theologians, historians, and truth seekers. But the more we uncover, the more unsettling the answers become. The story didn't end with the library of Ashurbanipal. That was just the beginning. As excavations continued across Mesopotamia, archaeologists unearthed more tablets, more inscriptions. And as these pieces came together, they painted a picture that defied everything we thought we knew. What if the Anunnaki were more than myth? What if their influence shaped humanity in ways we're only beginning to understand? 6. The deeper we dig, the stranger it gets. The Anunnaki, as described by the ancient Sumerians, were not mere deities. They were depicted as beings of extraordinary power and knowledge. They came from the heavens, not metaphorically, but literally. The word Anunnaki itself means those who from the heavens to earth came. But why? What brought them here? According to these texts, the Anunnaki came to earth for a purpose: to extract resources, to mine gold. Yes, gold. A substance ancient civilizations deemed precious long before economics or jewelry existed. And in the process of their work, they didn't labor alone. They created something, or rather someone, to assist them. The ancient Sumerians tell us the Anunnaki engineered humanity itself. They fashioned us in their image, not as equals, but as workers. This revelation changes everything. It shakes the very foundation of our understanding of who we are, where we come from, and why we exist. 7. A truth buried in the sands of time. For millennia, these stories were dismissed as myths, legends. But what if they were more than that? What if the Anunnaki were real? And what if their story has been deliberately erased, concealed, or distorted? Even today, we see echoes of their influence in religion, in history, in our very DNA. Could the Anunnaki explain the unexplained leaps in human civilization? The sudden rise of advanced knowledge in ancient Sumer? The origins of languages, mathematics, and astronomy? What secrets still lie buried beneath the sands of Mesopotamia, waiting to be uncovered? 8. Are you ready to question everything? The truth, as it turns out, isn't just hidden in ancient texts. It's written in the stars. But uncovering it requires courage. Courage to think, courage to question, courage to seek answers to the mysteries they never wanted us to explore. So, will you accept the challenge? Will you join us on this journey to uncover the truth of the Anunnaki, and perhaps the truth about ourselves? The next chapter is waiting. What secrets did the ancient texts leave behind for us? Why do so many of these records seem to converge on one profound truth? That humanity's earliest stories aren't just about gods, but about an extraordinary connection between human beings and mysterious beings from the stars. This is where the mystery of the Anunnaki begins to unfold. One of the most astonishing texts is the Epic of Gilgamesh, widely regarded as the oldest known mythological account in human history. It chronicles the adventures of Gilgamesh, a Sumerian king said to be part human, part divine, a hybrid of man and Anunnaki. The epic explores Gilgamesh's desperate quest for immortality, a theme that reflects humanity's enduring longing to transcend mortality. But beneath this story lies something deeper. The tale reveals a world where the Anunnaki walked among humans, ruling as gods. They held knowledge of life, death, and the mysteries of existence, secrets they deliberately kept hidden from humanity. But why? What were they protecting? Or perhaps, what were they hiding? The significance of the Epic of Gilgamesh grew even greater in 1872, when George Smith, an Assyriologist at the British Museum, made a groundbreaking discovery. Among fragments of ancient clay tablets, he deciphered the 11th tablet of the Epic, a piece of history that contained a story eerily similar to the biblical tale of Noah's Ark. This tablet, now famously known as the Flood Tablet, recounts how the gods, or more specifically, the Anunnaki, decided to destroy humanity with a catastrophic flood. Yet one figure among the Anunnaki, Enki, defied this decision. Enki, known for his favor toward humanity, chose to warn a man named Utnapishtim, but he did so indirectly. According to the story, Enki communicated through a wall of reeds, instructing Utnapishtim to build a massive ark to save himself, his family, and the animals from the impending flood. Utnapishtim obeyed and constructed the ark, narrowly surviving the deluge that wiped out the rest of humanity. The similarities between this account and the biblical story of Noah are striking. Both involve a righteous man receiving divine instructions to build an ark, preserve life, and survive a great flood. However, there's a critical difference. In the Bible, a singular God serves as both judge and savior, deciding to destroy humanity, yet offering mercy through Noah. But in the Epic of Gilgamesh, these roles are divided among the Anunnaki. Enlil, the leader of the Anunnaki, decrees humanity's destruction, deeming them too noisy and troublesome to continue existing. Enki, on the other hand, acts as humanity's protector and defies the collective will of the Anunnaki to ensure human survival. This division of motives among the Anunnaki introduces complexity to the narrative. It forces us to ask, were the gods of Sumerian mythology truly benevolent? Or were they as divided and flawed as humanity itself? Even more astonishing is the fact that the Sumerian account predates the biblical flood story by thousands of years. Could it be that the story of Noah is a reinterpretation of this much older Sumerian myth? And if so, why would the Bible condense the story into one God and obscure the involvement of multiple beings? What truths might have been lost or intentionally erased during this translation from myth to scripture? The Epic of Gilgamesh isn't the only ancient text linking the Anunnaki to humanity's survival. Another ancient Sumerian text, the Epic of Atrahasis, offers yet another narrative about a great flood. Like the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis predates the Bible and provides striking parallels to the story of Noah. In the Atrahasis, the Anunnaki once again decree humanity's destruction through a flood. The reasoning is similar. Humans have become too noisy, disrupting the lives of their creators. But once again, it is Enki who intervenes, warning Atrahasis and instructing him to build an ark to preserve life. Atrahasis follows these instructions, securing his survival and that of humanity. These ancient accounts, the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Epic of Atrahasis, challenge us to reconsider the origins of the biblical flood narrative. Could the Anunnaki, described as rulers and protectors in these texts, have played a more significant role in shaping humanity's earliest beliefs than we've been led to understand? And if these beings were real, what was their true relationship with humanity? Were they divine overseers, alien visitors, or something else entirely? As we piece together the puzzle of the Anunnaki, one thing becomes clear. Their legacy, embedded in ancient texts, is far more intricate than we once believed. It raises questions not only about the nature of the gods, but also about the very foundations of human history and spirituality. The Bible's narrative is one of the most profound and transformative stories ever told, yet it's not entirely unique. The roots of its themes stretch back millennia, intertwining with even older legends, such as the Sumerian tales of the Anunnaki. These stories, though distinct, carry striking parallels to the biblical flood, challenging us to reconsider their origins, their meanings, and the purpose behind their creation. The story begins with the Anunnaki, a group of powerful beings in Sumerian mythology, growing increasingly frustrated with humanity. Unlike the biblical account, where divine frustration stems from human sin, moral failure, or the need for justice, the Anunnaki's grievance was far more pragmatic. Humanity, in their eyes, had simply grown too numerous, too noisy, and too difficult to manage. Overpopulation was not just an inconvenience, it was a threat to their dominance. So, they devised a chilling solution, a great flood, not as punishment, not as purification, but as a means to regain control. Yet, even within this cold calculation, there was a defiance, a spark of rebellion against the council of the Anunnaki. Enter Enki, one of their own, who emerges as humanity's unlikely protector. Enki, moved by compassion, or perhaps a sense of responsibility, secretly warns Atrahasis, a chosen man, of the impending deluge. He provides instructions on how to construct a massive vessel capable of preserving life. Sound familiar? This tale mirrors the biblical story of Noah, a chosen man, a divine warning, a flood, and an ark. But here's the key difference: the framing. In the Bible, the flood is an act of divine justice, a righteous response to humanity's wickedness. It's a lesson in morality, repentance, and God's authority. In the Sumerian version, the flood is stripped of its moral narrative. It's portrayed as a calculated decision, practical, even cold. The goal wasn't spiritual cleansing, but control. It was a way for the Anunnaki to maintain their grip over humanity, a reminder of their power over the very beings they created. These parallels between the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis, and the biblical flood narrative are too significant to ignore. They provoke questions, deep, unsettling questions, about the origins of these stories. Why are they so similar? Could they share a common root, a shared history? And if the Anunnaki were real, what was their ultimate intention in shaping early humanity? Were they caretakers, striving to guide humanity, or oppressors, seeking only to dominate and exploit? Or perhaps they were something in between, both creators and controllers, balancing the paradox of nurturing and ruling. The answers to these questions might lie in yet another ancient artifact, one that bridges the gap between myth and history: the Sumerian king list. At first glance, this artifact appears ordinary, a simple chronological record of kings who ruled in ancient Sumer. But beneath the surface, it reveals something extraordinary, something that defies our understanding of the ancient world. The Sumerian king list is, on its face, a dry historical document. It catalogs the names of kings and the lengths of their reigns. But as we delve deeper, an astonishing detail comes to light. The reigns of the earliest kings are impossibly long, tens of thousands of years in some cases. Entire dynasties lasted over 200,000 years. How can this be? These are not vague or symbolic figures. They are recorded with precision, down to the year, the month, even the day. Modern scholars have attempted to explain these numbers. Some argue they are symbolic, representing ideals or mythic archetypes. Others claim they are metaphorical or fantastical. But these interpretations seem at odds with the precision of Sumerian culture, a civilization that gave us the 60-second minute, the 60-minute hour, and the 360-degree circle. The Sumerians were meticulous record keepers, obsessed with accuracy. Why then would they suddenly abandon this precision when documenting the reigns of their kings? Could it be that these kings were not human at all? Could they have been Anunnaki, beings whose lifespans dwarfed our own, measured not in years or decades, but in millennia? If so, this shifts the narrative entirely. It suggests that the Sumerians weren't creating mythology, they were recording history. A history that included interactions with beings from the stars, beings who shaped the trajectory of humanity's earliest civilizations. If the Anunnaki truly ruled over humanity in the distant past, what was their purpose? Were they benevolent overseers, guiding us toward progress? Or were they oppressors, keeping us in servitude? What did they want from us? And perhaps even more unsettling, if they influenced humanity, then could their influence still linger today? The deeper we dig into these ancient texts, the more these questions multiply. The Sumerians believed their civilization wasn't merely the product of human ingenuity. They believed it was a gift, or perhaps a burden, bestowed upon them by the Anunnaki. But this belief leads us to a much larger and more troubling question. Why has so much of this knowledge been lost or hidden from us? What truths have been buried beneath the sands of time? The Sumerian king list, the flood narratives, the parallels to biblical accounts, all of these point to a story much larger than we might have imagined. A story of humanity's creation, its struggles, and its relationship with beings who may have shaped the very fabric of our existence. Whether we see them as gods, aliens, or something entirely different, one thing is certain. The Sumerians viewed their history as one deeply intertwined with the Anunnaki. And as we uncover these ancient records, we are left to wonder, how much of our understanding of human history is incomplete? How much of what we believe to be myth might actually be truth? And if the Anunnaki truly played a role in shaping us, what does that mean for who we are and who we are meant to become? The answers to these questions remain elusive, buried in ancient texts and hidden truths. But the journey to uncover them may lead us not only to a greater understanding of our past, but also to profound revelations about our future. What if the Anunnaki's influence didn't end thousands of years ago? What if their legacy still shapes us today? The mysteries of ancient texts don't just lie in their words, but in the deliberate efforts to suppress or reinterpret them. For centuries, the Bible has been held up as the definitive account of humanity's origins, a divine revelation shaping the spiritual and moral foundation of countless civilizations. But what if that's only part of the story? What if some of the Bible's most foundational narratives are not entirely original, but retellings, reframed to serve a new narrative? This question grows even more compelling when we consider the striking parallels between biblical stories and older Sumerian accounts. These parallels are far too consistent to dismiss as coincidence. They point to a shared origin, a profound truth rooted in humanity's ancient collective memory. Take the story of the Great Flood and the Ark, one of the Bible's most iconic tales. In Sumerian texts, such as the Atrahasis and the Epic of Gilgamesh, we find eerily similar accounts of a flood sent by divine beings. Even the central idea of an ark, a chosen survivor, and the saving of life echoes unmistakably between these traditions. But the connections don't end there. Other biblical stories, long assumed to be unique divine revelations, show unmistakable links to Sumerian myths. Let's consider the story of Adam and Eve. Genesis presents this as humanity's origin. God forms humans from the dust of the ground, breathing life into them in His divine image. But the Sumerian account of human creation tells a very different story. In their tradition, the Anunnaki, ancient beings described as coming from the heavens, grew weary of the labor required to extract Earth's resources. So, they engineered a solution: humanity. Using their own genetic material combined with that of a local primate species, the Anunnaki created humans, not as divine reflections, but as laborers to serve their needs. Even the phrasing in Genesis, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," raises questions. Who is the us being addressed here? This collaborative tone directly mirrors the deliberations of the Anunnaki, as described in Sumerian texts. Could it be that the creation story in Genesis is a reimagined version of this older myth? Now let's turn to the story of Cain and Abel, one of Genesis's earliest depictions of human conflict. Cain, a farmer, and Abel, a shepherd, each present offerings to God. When Abel's offering is accepted, and Cain's is not. Jealousy consumes Cain, driving him to commit the first murder. This tale has been interpreted for centuries as a moral lesson about envy and obedience. But Sumerian mythology offers a new layer of meaning. It tells of a rivalry between two brothers, Enki and Enlil, key figures in the Anunnaki pantheon. Enki, often seen as a protector and advocate for humanity, frequently clashed with Enlil, who was stricter and more punitive. Could the story of Cain and Abel be a symbolic retelling of this cosmic struggle, adapted for a biblical audience? And then there's the Tower of Babel. In Genesis, humanity unites under a single language to build a tower, reaching the heavens. God, displeased with their ambition, scatters them and confuses their language. But the Sumerian version of this story paints a more intricate picture. In the Mesopotamian text, Enmerkar and the Lord of Arata, a similar tale unfolds. But the tower is not just a structure. It's been interpreted by some as an advanced technological device, possibly a stargate, used by the Anunnaki to connect with celestial realms. Could the biblical story of the Tower of Babel be a reinterpretation of this older narrative, one where humanity's confusion and dispersion served not divine humility, but the Anunnaki's desire to maintain control? Even the word Elohim, which appears in Genesis, takes on new significance when viewed through a Sumerian lens. Traditionally translated as God in English, Elohim is actually a plural term, more accurately meaning gods, or the powerful ones. This resonates with the Sumerian term Anunnaki, which translates to those who came from the heavens to earth. Both terms describe a collective of beings rather than a singular deity. Could it be that the Elohim of the Bible and the Anunnaki of Sumerian tradition are, in fact, the same group of beings, remembered, reframed, and retold through different cultural lenses? But here's where the Sumerian texts offer even more detail. Unlike the omniscient and omnipotent God portrayed in many interpretations of the Bible, the Anunnaki were far more human in their descriptions. They had personalities, conflicts, desires, and flaws. They were not all-powerful, but rather a complex group of beings navigating their own agendas. Their interactions with humanity were not always benevolent. They were motivated by their own needs, whether for labor, resources, or dominance. As we peel back the layers of these ancient texts, we're left with an even deeper question. How much of what we've come to accept as divine truth is actually part of a much older, far more intricate tapestry of shared human history? Could the Bible's stories, rather than being standalone revelations, be echoes of something far more ancient, threads of memory woven into the fabric of early civilizations? The implications are profound. If the biblical stories are reinterpretations of older myths, then what does this mean for our understanding of faith, history, and the divine? Could these connections reveal that humanity's search for meaning has always been guided by a shared narrative, one that transcends time, culture, and tradition? And perhaps most importantly, how does this knowledge reshape the way we see ourselves, our origins, and our future? The truth may not lie in choosing between one tradition or another, but in uncovering the common truths that bind them together, a shared legacy that speaks to the essence of humanity itself. What does this legacy tell us about who we are and who we are meant to be? The Anunnaki, the Bible, and humanity's origins, unveiling the hidden connections. The ancient texts tell us of beings who were powerful yet imperfect. They made mistakes. They argued among themselves. And in the end, they chose to abandon their rule over humanity. If we compare the Bible's Elohim to the Sumerian Anunnaki, could they be one and the same? And if so, why does the biblical narrative strip away the complexity of these beings, portraying instead a singular, unified God? What is the purpose of this transformation? Why replace a diverse group of flawed extraterrestrial rulers with the image of an omnipotent singular deity? These questions lead us to a bigger mystery. Why have the connections between biblical accounts and Sumerian mythology remained hidden for so long? Were the biblical authors simply adapting older stories to fit their cultural context? Or was this a deliberate attempt to rewrite history? And if so, who benefits from this revision? The implications of these questions are profound. If the foundation of modern religion is built upon reinterpretations of Sumerian mythology, then our entire understanding of divinity, creation, and humanity's role in the cosmos could need re-examination. It forces us to rethink what we believe about our origins, and even what it means to be human. For the Sumerians, these myths were not just stories. They believed they were recording history, an extraordinary history of contact with beings who descended from the stars. But here's the astonishing part. The Sumerians weren't the only ones. Across history and throughout the world, cultures have passed down remarkably similar stories. Tales of beings who came from the heavens, bringing knowledge, power, and sometimes chaos. From the feathered serpent gods of Mesoamerica to the divine rulers of ancient Egypt, and even the sky people of Native American lore, the parallels are undeniable. All these accounts bear a striking resemblance to the Sumerian stories of the Anunnaki, advanced beings who played a central role in shaping human civilization. Could these be fragmented memories of a shared reality? Let's look closer. The Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki not as abstract gods, but as tangible, physical beings. Beings capable of remarkable technological and scientific feats. Zecharia Sitchin, one of the most well-known researchers in this field, spent decades studying these ancient texts. Through his groundbreaking Earth Chronicles series, he pieced together a radical theory that the Anunnaki came to Earth in search of gold, a resource they needed to sustain their home planet, Nibiru. According to Sitchin, the Anunnaki used their advanced knowledge of genetics to engineer humanity. They combined their DNA with that of Earth's primates to create a hybrid species, us. This idea challenges everything we thought we knew. It suggests humanity is not the product of divine creation or random evolution, but deliberate bioengineering. And if Sitchin's theories hold any truth, the implications are staggering. Could our existence have been shaped not by a benevolent creator, but by calculated actions of extraterrestrial colonizers? This forces us to ask, if the Anunnaki did intervene in our evolution, where does that leave the idea of God? Interestingly, the Sumerian texts make no mention of a single omnipotent creator. Instead, they present a pantheon of powerful beings, each with unique motives and agendas. Yet, within the Anunnaki narrative as retold by Sitchin, there emerges a mysterious figure, Galzu. Sitchin claimed that Galzu was a messenger sent by the creator of all. According to his interpretation, Galzu intervened at critical moments in the Anunnaki story. He guided figures like Enki, ensuring humanity's survival and reminding the Anunnaki that they were ultimately answerable to a higher power. But here's the problem. The name Galzu does not appear in the original Sumerian texts. It seems to be Sitchin's interpretation, a narrative layer that raises even more questions. If Galzu isn't in the Sumerian records, was Sitchin wrong about the creator of all? Or was he pointing us toward a truth that lies hidden between the lines? This brings us back to humanity's timeless question. If beings like the Anunnaki played a role in shaping our origins, where is God? Is there a divine presence in the universe, a force beyond the physical, orchestrating life and consciousness? Or have we simply mistaken advanced beings for gods, attributing divine power to what might have been superior technology? Perhaps the answer isn't confined to ancient texts. It may be found in the echoes of these stories that persist across human history, from the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of the Maya, from the legends of the Zulu to the star myths of Australia's indigenous peoples. These ancient monuments and myths may hold the keys to understanding not only where we come from, but also who or what might be watching us still. The search for truth continues. There is a common thread running through the ancient stories of humanity. Beings from the heavens intervening in human affairs. Were these celestial beings the same Anunnaki described in the myths of the Sumerians? Or could they have been part of something even greater? Something far beyond what we can comprehend? This profound question lies at the very heart of humanity's search for meaning. It compels us to wrestle not just with the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement in our past, but also with the nature of divinity itself. If humanity was shaped by the Anunnaki, what lies beyond them? Were they merely the engineers of our physical form, or could there still be a higher force, a transcendent creator, that bestowed upon us our consciousness, our deep longing for purpose, and our ability to question our origins? Zecharia Sitchin, in his exploration of these ancient myths, suggests the existence of such a higher being, referred to as Galzu, the creator of all. If this is true, why does this ultimate creator remain so distant, so hidden from human experience? Why do the ancient texts, from the Sumerian epics to the Egyptian hymns and even the Bible, describe gods who are imperfect, conflicted, and far from the ideal of divine perfection? This raises a critical turning point in our understanding. If the Anunnaki were real, and if they truly shaped the course of human history, then their story is not merely about the past. It is about the present. It is about our place in the universe and the divine spark that may dwell within each of us. What if the key to understanding the Anunnaki and the creator of all is not found in looking outward to the heavens, but in awakening something deeply profound within ourselves? To delve deeper into this mystery, we must revisit one of the most ancient creation stories from Mesopotamia, the Enuma Elish, known as the 7 Tablets of Creation. The Enuma Elish recounts a pivotal moment where the Anunnaki sacrifice one of their own, a god named Kingu, to create humanity. According to this myth, human beings were born from a mixture of Kingu's divine blood and the clay of the earth. In this act, the very essence of divinity, the lifeblood of the Anunnaki, was infused into humanity. A similar story is found in the Atrahasis myth, where the goddess Mami, also known as Belet Ili, Ninma, or Ninhursag, creates humans. She is called the mother goddess for a profound reason. She combines the divine essence of the gods with the raw material of the earth to mold the first humans. These myths suggest a groundbreaking idea. If the stories are to be believed, the divine essence was not external to humanity. It was a part of our very creation. This revelation carries immense implications. It suggests that humanity is not merely a product of genetic engineering or divine experimentation, but something far greater. The essence of the Anunnaki, and perhaps the essence of divinity itself, exists within every human being. It is not something to be sought in the stars or distant realms. It is something that resides within us, waiting to be awakened. This leads us to a profound question. What does it mean to carry a divine spark within? For centuries, humanity has been divided, separated by fear, submission, and the pursuit of external power. But if the divine is within us, how would our understanding of life and purpose change? Could we break free from the limitations imposed upon us by systems, structures, and beliefs that tell us we are powerless? Could we, instead, reclaim our inherent connection to the divine? Personally, I believe in God, but not as a figure sitting on a throne or as a superhero descending from the skies. I believe in God as energy, as frequency, as the force that animates the cosmos and sustains all life. God, in this understanding, is not an individual being, but the very field of energy that permeates the universe, connecting all things and all beings. This divine energy exists not just in the heavens, but in the depths of our souls. The divine is not something separate from us that we must worship. It is something we must recognize as part of who we are. This understanding is not new. For millennia, ancient cultures around the world have preserved the idea of humanity's connection to the cosmos and the divine. They spoke of pathways to transcend the mundane, to reach higher states of consciousness where the divine within us could communicate with the divine that permeates the universe. These cultures understood that we are not separate from the stars. We are born of them. Modern society, in its pursuit of material progress, has largely forgotten this ancient truth. But those traditions still whisper their wisdom to us. The divine is not confined to temples, scriptures, or distant celestial realms. It is in the air we breathe, the light of the stars, and the pulse of our hearts. By reconnecting with this divine essence, we can rediscover not only our place in the cosmos, but also the limitless potential that resides within us. Imagine the possibilities if we awakened to this truth. What if humanity, instead of looking outward for salvation, began to look inward? What if, instead of fearing the unknown, we embraced the divine spark that has been within us all along? By awakening this spark, we can transcend the divisions that have defined us, divisions of race, creed, and nation. We can move beyond the fear that has kept us from understanding our potential. Imagine a world where we no longer feel powerless, where we recognize our unity with the cosmos and with each other. This is not just a vision of the future. It is the truth of our origins. It is the story the ancient myths have been trying to tell us all along. The key to unlocking this truth lies not in distant galaxies or ancient ruins, but in the deepest parts of ourselves. It is there, within the essence of our being, that the divine waits to be rediscovered. And in that rediscovery, we may finally understand what it means to be human, not as creatures searching for meaning, but as beings who carry the divine within them. Our worth as human beings is not defined solely by our achievements or individual potential. It is realized when we come together as a species, united in purpose, curiosity, and discovery. Together, we unlock a potential that has lain dormant within us for thousands of years. This journey is not just about understanding where we've come from. It's about reshaping the present and reclaiming our future. When we connect with the divine frequency, the resonance of something greater than ourselves, we also deepen our understanding of the Anunnaki story. If, as ancient texts suggest, the Anunnaki gave humanity their essence, leaving their mark on our DNA and our consciousness, then we are far more than their creations. We are their continuation. Their spark lives on within us, their knowledge, their innovation, and perhaps even their flaws. This spark isn't something static. It can be nurtured, it can awaken, it can expand into something extraordinary. But how do we tap into this divine energy? How do we reawaken the spark that has been buried within us for so long? The answers do not lie in force or technology. They cannot be found in outward pursuits alone. Instead, they lie in stillness, in moments of reflection, in a deep sense of self-awareness. This divine connection isn't something external. It's a state of being, a harmony that is felt, not forced. It emerges in moments of silence, when we become attuned to the rhythm of our own breath. It appears in moments of awe, when we lift our eyes to the night sky and feel the infinite expanse of the universe pressing against the very core of our souls. The Anunnaki may no longer walk among us, but their influence remains. Perhaps their greatest gift to humanity was not the civilizations they shaped, nor the systems they designed, but the divine spark they left hidden within us. This spark is a reminder that humanity is far more than what we see on the surface. Yet, if this spark is so central to our identity, one must ask, why has it been hidden from us for so long? Why is this knowledge veiled in obscurity? Why does the Bible, a text revered as the ultimate guide to truth and spirituality, fail to fully reveal this understanding? It speaks of the Elohim, a plural term that curiously mirrors the concept of the Anunnaki, but translates it as a singular God. Why does it reduce these complex beings, those who walked the earth and ruled as kings and gods, into a single monolithic entity? Were they not divine in the sense of all-powerful creators, but rather advanced beings with their own motives and ambitions? Consider the God who created man in Genesis, who walked in the Garden of Eden, who unleashed the flood to cleanse the earth, and who scattered humanity at Babel. What if this figure wasn't an all-powerful creator, but rather a being, or beings, exercising influence and authority for reasons of their own? And if this is the case, we must ask another critical question. What if the Bible was rewritten, not to reveal the truth, but to control it? What if the fragmented stories of humanity's origins were consolidated into a single narrative, designed to serve those in power? If humanity understood its creators as flesh and blood beings, flawed and fallible, wouldn't that disrupt the divine authority of religious institutions? Wouldn't that force us to question everything we've been taught about God, creation, and our place in the cosmos? And it's not just religion that plays a role in this concealment. Governments, too, remain silent on the Anunnaki. Why don't they openly discuss the ancient texts and tablets that detail humanity's earliest encounters with these beings? Why don't they acknowledge the possibility that extraterrestrial beings may have influenced the course of human history? Could it be that they, too, are invested in keeping us in the dark? After all, knowledge is power. By obscuring the truth, those in control maintain their authority over a populace kept unaware of its true origins and potential. Mainstream historians often dismiss the Anunnaki hypothesis, labeling it as pseudoscience or mythology. They argue that these accounts are purely symbolic, mere reflections of ancient imaginations, not records of actual events. But does this explanation truly hold up under scrutiny? If these stories are purely symbolic, how do we explain their remarkable consistency across civilizations and cultures separated by thousands of miles and years? How do we account for the profound parallels between these ancient texts and the scientific advancements of our modern age? What if the symbols and myths hold a deeper truth? What if they are not products of overactive imaginations, but echoes of a reality that we are only beginning to understand? If we allow ourselves to ask these questions, to dig deeper into the origins of humanity, we may find that the truth has been with us all along, hidden in plain sight. The divine spark within us is not a relic of the past. It is a call to action for the present and a key to unlocking our future. We stand at the threshold of something extraordinary, a moment where we must choose to awaken, to reconnect, and to reclaim the truth that has been obscured for so long. The journey begins not in the skies or ancient ruins, but within each of us, in stillness, in self-awareness, in a willingness to see beyond the surface and embrace the infinite possibilities of what it truly means to be human. Why do ancient texts across cultures seem to echo the same profound mysteries? How do we explain their shared advanced knowledge of astronomy, genetic manipulation, and cosmic travel? These are not just stories of imagination. They are stories that echo across time and distance, civilizations thousands of miles apart, separated by centuries, yet speaking the same truths. Could it be that they are not just myths, but memories? What if humanity's origins are far more extraordinary than we've been led to believe? What if we are not merely earthlings, but beings of far greater significance? Consider the implications. If humanity truly understood its origins, how would it reshape the systems of control that dominate our world today? Religions, in their essence, were designed to reconnect us with the divine. They were meant to teach us about our relationship with God and the vast universe. Yet somewhere along the way, most religions began reinforcing separation. They placed God on a distant throne, someone to worship but never understand, to fear but never question. But what if that throne wasn't in the heavens? What if it was here, on Earth? What if the gods who ruled humanity in the ancient world were not divine in the sense we've been taught, but beings of advanced knowledge and power? Superhuman, yes, but not supernatural. The ancient texts refer to them as the Anunnaki, rulers wielding technology so advanced it appeared as magic to early humans. They were seen as gods because they had knowledge humanity couldn't comprehend at the time. And here's the critical question: why is this truth suppressed? What are they so afraid of us knowing? Could it be because this knowledge would awaken something within us, something they cannot control? Think about it. What if the systems of power, religious, political, economic, are built on the premise that humanity must remain unaware of its full potential? That we must remain disconnected from the divine spark within us, from the energy that ties us to the universe, from the truth of who we truly are? If we knew this truth, we might realize that we are not broken, that we are not inferior, that we do not need salvation from external forces. We might understand that we are already connected to the divine, that the power to shape our destinies lies not in the hands of gods, kings, or institutions, but within us. And this realization, it would shatter the systems of control, the fear, the guilt, the submission. These systems were designed to keep us small, to keep us from reclaiming what has been hidden in us from the very beginning. So, ask yourself, what are they so afraid of? Could it be that we might stop looking to intermediaries, priests, kings, governments, to reach the divine? That we might stop bowing to the systems they've created and start building systems of our own? What if humanity truly understood its origins? If we recognized that we carry within us the essence of the divine? What kind of revolution would that spark? Perhaps that's their greatest fear, that humanity would no longer submit, that we would stop worshiping their systems and instead embrace the power within us, that we would stop searching the heavens for salvation and begin finding it in the divine spark inside ourselves. This is the secret they don't want you to know. This is why the story of the Anunnaki is ridiculed, dismissed, and suppressed. Why fragments of truth in ancient texts are labeled as mere myth. Because if we truly understood, the systems of power that have ruled for millennia would crumble. And perhaps that is exactly what needs to happen. These are not easy questions. They challenge everything we've been taught, everything we believe about who we are and where we come from. But you are here. You were chosen to hear this, to ask these questions, to explore what others fear to confront. And once your eyes are opened, there is no turning back. The choice now lies with you. Will you continue down this path of discovery? Will you seek out the answers that have been hidden for millennia? This is not just the story of the Anunnaki. It is the story of you. It is the story of humanity. And perhaps it is just the beginning. If you feel called to learn more, I invite you to continue your search for truth. Explore one of the videos appearing on the screen now. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Share your thoughts in the comments. We're building a community of seekers, and your voice matters. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Together, let's uncover the truth that could change everything.